to Your Right to Know by the Fitchburg Republican City Committee. My name is Mary Lotze, and I will be your host for this evening's show. Tonight we're going to talk about Trump won. I think that's good news, and I think our panelists will also think that's good news. And we'll talk to you tonight about why we think it's good, certainly for us as Republicans, but why we also think it's good for America. So tonight I'd like to introduce our panelists. You may know them. They've been with us before. Of course, Dave, why don't you just introduce yourself?
My name is Dave Lunger. I'm from Acton. I'm chair of the Acton Republican Town Committee, and I'm state committee man for the Middlesex-Worcester District.
Ken?
My name is Ken Wood. I'm from Shirley. I'm chairman of the Republican Town Committee in Shirley.
Lorraine Rudd, Lunenburg. I'm the secretary for the Lunenburg Republican Town Committee.
Well, I hope I didn't say anything ahead of you. You all are happy Trump won, I'm
Yes.
sure. Can I read the smiles on your faces and the elation in your voices? And no, this is a wonderful win for America. And you know, this is our third time we've had the panel. We're missing a few people tonight. But I was skeptical. I thought maybe the polls would be wrong and Trump wouldn't prevail. And I was elated that he did, certainly. But let's talk about the polls leading up to. We got a few days ahead of the election. And all of a sudden, we started seeing all kinds of media reports and even very famous, popular panels, very well-respected polls coming out and saying that Harris had pulled ahead. One poll in particular was something called the Ann Seltzer poll. And I think that was actually it might have been in a certain state, Pennsylvania or something, Iowa. And her poll was really an outlier. But because she was recognized so profoundly as being a good and accurate pollster, it carried a lot of weight. Now, my question is, was she just wrong? Did she use the wrong metrics? Or was it wrong on purpose? What do you think, Dave?
I don't have any respect whatsoever for any polls. Polls are push polls. And we saw, like, in 2016, Hillary was, 99% chance going to win. Mm-hmm. And then it went to zero, eventually. Yeah. You can't trust. Polls are push polls. They're there to shape public opinion, and that's it.
And that's the key, I think, shaping public opinion. Ken, what do you think?
Well, I think there's 3 or 4 reasons why some of the polls were wrong. Number one, some of them were wrong on purpose. But it's hard to have a poll because sometimes they will poll more Democrats than Republicans. Also, some of the Republicans are really reticent about coming out for Trump. And with Ann Seltzer's case, she was a very respected pollster. I cannot imagine she missed it by so much. It had to be on purpose. And I think she was willing to sacrifice her reputation for Kamala.
And didn't she come out and say she would no longer do presidential polls?
She quit.
She quit.
Yeah.
Lorraine?
Well, she's no longer doing polling. So either she helped Kamala, which really helped Trump, or she helped Kamala and didn't do anything.
Yeah.
But the polling, they don't talk to the young kids who,
Well, they were instrumental in this election.
They didn't go to the Amish country. They didn't. They missed a lot of demographics, and it's just not like Dave was saying. It's just not reliable. They're not really reporting for you. If it's a mainstream poll, they don't care about you.
You know what I think is interesting? Many of us waited up till the wee hours of the morning to see who was going to win. I fell asleep, but
Me too.
but I know a lot of people waited up to 2, 3 in the morning just to see how it was going to shake out as the morning hours came. And one of the things that I heard from, again, a very respected Democrat, somebody who brings in money for the Democrat Party, and she said the reason they waited so long, now granted, or they wanted to wait, they wanted this who won to be dragged out for days, even to weeks, because they knew Kamala Harris had such a debt burden built up of, what is it, $20 million?
$20 million.
That they were going to use that 1 week or 2 weeks before they found out who actually won and announced it officially. to fundraise,
Oh,
to
that's
help make money for her campaign.
And of course, Trump is trolling them, saying that he'll pay the $20 million.
Yeah. I hope he doesn't. I hope they own every dime of it.
Wow.
But that's, I mean, I think that goes into really looking at the illegitimacy of the pollsters as well as the media altogether. Everybody's playing the blame game now. I mean, Nancy Pelosi is coming out saying it was Biden's fault. All right. We've got other people coming out and saying it was Harris's fault. She was a very poor candidate. She was not disciplined. She was not. She was irresponsible in how she went around. What do you think of the blame game? Who, or was any one person at fault for Trump winning it so resoundingly? Lorraine, I'll start with you.
Well, it goes back. You have to look at, you have to go back before COVID. You have to go back to the elevator. When we saw from then how the media was so biased against Trump, and it never got better, and they doubled down once they got Biden back in. And what we saw them do during COVID, the censorship, the deceit, the lies, like just stop. So the fact that the Democrats are basically, the press is the PR wing of the Democrat Party, it delegitimized all of it. And it was easy to just dump them all and go find your own reporters, Joe Rogan, wherever you could go. Tucker, you just found your news somewhere else, and you found it was reliable and made sense. And we learned to have common sense and use discernment. And I think that went all for Trump.
Mm-hmm. It was very interesting when you said Joe Rogan. The numbers that I heard, I don't know if any of you heard, people who tuned in, it was MSNBC and CNN. I'm not sure exactly of the numbers. It was like 300,000 and 500,000 watched both of those TV networks to Joe Rogan's 90 million viewers.
90 million.
Almost unbelievably astounding, that number. People who watch Trump on Joe Rogan. And this is Kamala didn't want to do his show because it wasn't going to be orchestrated enough for her. She was afraid of hardball questions or surprise questions and things like that. Let's go on with the blame game. Ken.
Well, I think the Democrats were in a pickle for quite a while because Biden was a weak candidate, Kamala was a weak candidate, and it was hard for them to displace Kamala to go to somebody else because she was a woman of color. And I think that was a very difficult thing. Mm-hmm. And possibly Biden should have resigned earlier, and we don't know whether he refused to resign, whether he was just being stubborn, or what. But
when Biden ran in 2020, Biden announced at that time he would only be a one-term candidate. And so he went back on his own. It's very possible, potentially, he did not even have the cognition to understand that he was going on past his prime.
There were signs that he voted for Trump.
Yeah.
Well, we all remember him wearing the Trump hat.
And
what did Mrs. Biden, Dr.
red.
Jill, had on a red suit, and
suit.
people felt that was symbolic.
And the happy face.
Yeah.
he was so happy talking to Trump.
Yeah.
Dave, what's...
So people are focusing on the election, and I kind of took a step back because I don't think Trump seems to be, he's restoring the republic, which we don't have. Mm-hmm. And the Democrats talk about democracy, 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 where it's really the republic that's hurting. And you go back to his inauguration in 2017. He talked about restoring the republic there. And that's what he's been doing for the last 9 years, continuous, in my humble opinion.
That's a good point. He said it's turning it back to you. And he pointed to the camera to the whole country.
Yeah.
You're right. I forgot about that.
It was
profound.
It was profound.
I recommend everybody go back to that 17-minute inauguration
speech in 2017.
Especially
17.
poignant when military was standing behind him for about 30 seconds, taking orders from him.
How big of a win, we kind of just touched on it a little bit, but how big of a win do you think it is for Trump? Nobody expected him, even if he was going to win. I don't think anybody thought he was going to take both houses of Congress. I think that was not imagined. There was, again, a lot of pollsters, a lot of pundits who were saying, oh, no, he's going to take the Senate by a small margin. He may not take the House. There was really a lot of feeling about that. But he took both. How big of a win is it for Trump? What does it show America? What does it show the people, the skeptics, the Democrats out there who really didn't want to see Trump win and looked at his 2016 win, where he didn't bring his 2016 win, and they looked at that as somewhat illegitimate because he didn't win the popular vote. This was both houses, the popular and the electoral vote. How big of a win do you think it is?
Well, first off, on the popular vote, they're still counting in California and other states. So who?
Oh, brother.
And they'll probably still be doing it in January.
Yeah.
But it's the win. It's the country is winning. Trump is just representative of a large MAGA underneath him, including people like us and all the voters, to restore the republic. And it's going to happen. And the other thing about the Congress, it's razor thin majorities. And he's being very bold about his picks.
Pulling out of.
So how can he be so
House.
bold? And he talked about a secret with Mike Johnson about how to keep the House. And we don't know how, but I'm on the edge of my seat to see how this plays out. And the next 2 months, I think, are critical.
Yes.
Ken, what do you think?
I think one of the most important factors is the fact that Donald won every single demographic, or improved every single demographic, except for black women. Hispanics, blacks, women. We expected the white women to vote against him because of the abortion issue, and he carried them. Not only that, he carried the majority of everyone from, I think it is, 18 to 25.
That's right.
That's amazing. That gives us hope for the future.
He really turned a lot of groups.
Yeah.
Lorraine, before I get to my next question, what do you think about Trump's win? And
Boy, a lot of people prayed. No separation of church and state here. You've got to bring God into it. It's so big. It was so big. We had to restore our faith and our trust, and that was a movement I have never seen in my life.
don't you think the faith part started back when he took the bullet in his ear in Butler, Pennsylvania? I mean, for many
the
people,
proof.
that almost became, I think, the turning point to this. There's a miracle
proof.
happening.
Wake
I know
up.
there may be people out in our viewing audience who may look at me and say, oh, that's like faith healing or something. But to me, that was in itself a sign.
Big turning point.
One of the things, Dave, you brought this out back in one of our earlier shows, where you said you thought it wasn't just about Trump, it was about MAGA.
Yes.
That MAGA, could you now expound on this now? Because you kind
It's
of did.
interesting. Yeah, MAGA, a lot of people don't know this, but MAGA is a trademark. And it was trademarked in 2012, surprisingly, 3 years before the escalator. So Trump didn't roll out of bed one day in 2015 and decide to run for president. This was trademarked. You can look at, there's a government website to look up trademarks, and it's there. He did it personally, and he was living in New York. It's trademarked.
So he must have seen America's failings starting to fall during the I'll even say Bush, but Obama administrations.
Right.
And it was back then that he started saying, we've got to restore America. And
That's why I'm saying 2024 and 2020 were not about an election. And he won 2020. Come on.
Yeah.
So it's about restoring the republic.
Lorraine, you also said something very important back in one of our previous panels, and you thought this was going to be the end of the legacy media. And what we're seeing play out is almost prescient of what you had brought up that day.
I don't know how they could have survived. No one was watching anymore. The shows were dying. They were losing
Well, I just mentioned
viewership.
CNN and
Yeah.
MSNBC are down in the tens of thousands,
Yeah.
and
You can't keep lying to people who are striving for truth. And that's where they lost us. Such a big part of the people are looking for what's true and to make America great again. Why is that a bad thing?
I know.
We wanted it. It turned out we loved that. The man representing it, we appreciated him and honored him, but we loved the idea of getting our country back. The media never valued that. The Democrats laughed at it. I don't know where they're coming from. I hope they get it one day.
And where's it going now with Mika and Joe going down to Mar-a-Lago?
I was going to say that. I was going to bring that. Mika and Joe went right to Mar-a-Lago and are getting a lot of pushback about doing that. And there's some people who feel they went there not to so much say mea culpa, but to save their own programming, their own brand show, because MSNBC is such a failure, is proven to be such a failure. They've now proven themselves to be such a failure that they were hoping to get a life preserver thrown at them so that they can save their own show from sinking into obscurity, which pretty much it already has. I just heard that Portia Del Rossi and Ellen DeGeneres booted it already. They're going to live in a castle over in England.
Forever. Never coming back. All right. The Cotswolds, whatever. You want to go?
What do you think about the whole legacy of the whole legacy media and how they failed they failed the American people. They failed their primary mission to inform and tell the truth. They failed on every single aspect of it.
It's not just the fact that the legacy media failed. They failed because they were telling lies for the last 8 years, basically. But the other side of the coin is that the conservative media has picked up, plus the fact that podcasts like Joe Rogan and others, they've picked up, and people are getting their news, and they trust it more from those places.
When I look at some of the maps of Trump's win, I think there was some drama there. And I'd like to be able to see if we could put up one of the maps. The first thing I'd like to see is the states that Trump won. I think this is very interesting. Dave, actually, look at that.
Yeah, you're talking about demographics with women and Latinos, blacks, whatever. Look at this map here. You have a demographic of no ID states going for Kamala, kind of oddly.
Wow.
And then all the ones, and then the demographic of where we require an ID, they went for Trump. You got to wonder here.
Well, that's almost a 100% indictment of election integrity, potentially.
Exactly.
I believe Trump probably got in the mid-40s instead of in the mid-30s here in Massachusetts.
You know what? I'd also like to see the counties that Trump won, because I think the county map. Look at that. I mean, talk about MAGA.
Wow.
MAGA USA.
Look
and
at
the only part,
California.
sad New England, sad Massachusetts, and California.
Well, we still don't know are elections safe, fair, and are the voter rolls clean. We don't know yet.
We don't.
But
no.
boy, look at California.
I'm going to have a show next year on election integrity.
Good.
Haven't sealed down the date and the month yet, but and who's going to be on it. But I think we need
city clerks, town clerks.
Yeah, I think we definitely need a show on election integrity.
Some registrars, yeah.
Because there was definitely something
Put Galvin on the
curious.
hot seat.
Oh.
You know, one of the things that would be interesting is local politics. Trump didn't really bring any coattails to Massachusetts. We had a couple of good wins. We had Peter Durant hold his seat, which was excellent for our viewers. Peter is just in the sort of Worcester, between us and Worcester area, and he's the state senator. I've never seen somebody that's more on top of every topic than Ken. And a new woman, Kelly Dooner, she won. But by and large, none of our candidates won. Do you think that had something to do with Trump, or do you think it just had to do with the fact that a lot of people probably went Trump for president, but not for down ballot candidates? How do you think that?
So we do have another win in, I think his first name is John Gasky. So he was unopposed in November, but it's a Republican district, but he might shake things up. The other thing about, we had Deaton, and Deaton was a problem in the grassroots. So I didn't vote for Deaton. If he's not going to vote for Trump, I'm not going to vote for Deaton. And I wrote in Robert Antonellis. But furthermore, when people ask me why, I say, oh, you're voting for Deaton. Would you, let's say it wasn't Deaton, let's say it was Liz Cheney against Elizabeth Warren. Would you vote for Liz Cheney? And they'd usually say no.
Yeah.
And I say, well, Deaton is my Liz Cheney.
Ken, why do you think?
Although we didn't win, I think we did better as far as the numbers go to support the Republican candidates, even though they didn't win. So that, and also there's a difference. Trump didn't carry the state, but we
improved, didn't we?
We improved, plus the fact that in campaigning for Trump in 16, it was different than in 24, because we got a lot of negative feedback in 16, and in 24, people were much more open. They might not agree with us, but at least now they will stop and listen when you talk about Trump a little bit more than they used to. So they're coming around. And part of this is the fact that Trump did a wonderful job. I mean, there's three big reasons why he was elected. Obviously, Charlie Kirk helped him, Scott Presley helped him.
That was with the young specifically.
Right. But Trump did a wonderful job. He was absolutely tireless. He spoke to the issues.
He went right into the inner cities. He went right into the belly of the beast in almost every demographic group and met with those people.
Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden. Where was
Philadelphia.
Went into the Bronx. He went into Bodega there, and that beautiful. If you get a chance to listen to his rally in the Bronx, I think it was one of his best.
Absolutely.
It was so good. Very loving, very nice.
One other thing then I see, where do you see the Republican Party going? Do you see him actually growing the Republican Party? Do you see him bringing on permanently, or was this just a one-off? Trump only has 4 years. Is this a one-off for the Republican Party, or do you think that piece of Trump will have coattails in the coming years?
Oh, it will have coattails. I mean, people are starting to wake up. One of the reasons why the woke situation did so well is that people were not paying attention. And the nice thing about Trump, not only did he answer every question, but he was very specific on it. And he was defending traditional values. And people are coming out and saying, you know something, we don't have to be shy about defending conservative values anymore. We can be honest. We don't have to lie. We don't have to stretch the truth. We can just tell it like it is, and people are going to listen.
Dave?
Yeah, I'm just going to say, continuing from what I was saying before, it's not about an election. It's about restoring the republic. That's what we have happening, and like the party is not going. It's not that Trumpism is going to go away. The Republican Party is going to change completely into the party of the republic, the people. And the Democrat Party, I think, is going away basically. And they have, we're on a collision course with Healy and Michelle Wu and Tom Homan, and Tom Homan's going to win.
Yeah,
He will win because people want it.
I'm so happy you all were able to come back and join with us. I wish our other panelists were able to participate in our conversation also. Things happen, but they weren't. But thank you very much, and Happy New Year, and Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas to all our viewers. This is our December show. And as we leave you tonight, we'd like to thank you for watching Your Right to Know and sitting in with the Fitchburg Republican City Committee. You know what? Make this a New Year's resolution for you, or a holiday resolution, and say, I'm going to check out my local town or city Republican committee. You know why? Because we are the only organizations that hold dear your constitutional rights and your conservative, and I will say traditional values. The GOP to us stands for growth, opportunity, and prosperity for all people. And we always stand for freedom. Thank you, good night, happy holidays, and go Trump.